Hey, shelter boy. Marcus Cole kept walking. 30 feet to the classroom door. 25. 20. A hand grabbed his collar, slammed him into the lockers. Brett Carson's face filled his vision. Captain of the football team, rich kid. The kind of guy who'd never missed a meal in his life. Never spent a night wondering if he'd have a roof over his head tomorrow. You deaf, Cole? I said stop. Marcus met his eyes. Didn't flinch, didn't blink. He'd faced scarier things than Brett Carson. He'd watched his mother die with a needle in her arm when he was 8. He'd held his grandmother's hand through 6 rounds of chemotherapy that insurance wouldn't cover. This rich kid with his perfect teeth and his daddy's credit card? Nothing. Check my pockets, Marcus said flatly. Go ahead. You'll find lint. Brett's jaw twitched. He wasn't used to resistance. You think you're tough? I think you're boring me. The punch came fast. Marcus saw it, could have dodged it, but didn't. Better to take the hit. Better to fall. Better to let Brett feel like a big man so this ended quicker. His head cracked against the locker. Stars exploded. Blood filled his mouth. Mr. Carson. A teacher's voice, sharp, but not sharp enough. Brett released him instantly, stepping back, smoothing his letter jacket. Just helping Cole find his class, Mr. Peters. The teacher frowned, but said nothing. Teachers never said anything. Not when Brett's father donated the new gym equipment. Not when the Carson family endowed scholarships. Not when money talked louder than justice. Get to class, both of you. What Brett did next, what he did every single day for 3 years, would set in motion a chain of events that would expose everything. A 5-year-old vendetta, a motorcycle gang war, and Marcus Cole's transformation from invisible to unforgettable. Comment where you're listening from. Subscribe to channel. Marcus Cole learned early that invisible boys live longer. Keep your head down. Don't make eye contact. Eat lunch in the bathroom stall. Walk the long way home to avoid the dealers on 5th Street. Never, ever stand out. 17 years of practice made him a ghost. He was born Marcus Anthony Cole on March 15th in County General Hospital, the same hospital where he'd later die for 47 seconds. His mother, Isabel Martinez Cole, was 19 years old and already struggling with addiction. His father? Never listed on the birth certificate. Just another ghost. The early years were a blur of temporary apartments, temporary jobs, temporary men in his mother's life. Marcus remembered fragments, the smell of cigarette smoke mixed with cheap perfume, the sound of arguments through paper-thin walls, the weight of hunger that made his stomach ache. When Marcus was 6, his mother left him with Rosa Martinez, his grandmother, for just a few days. Those few days turned into months, then years. Rosa worked 2 jobs, morning shift at a laundry service, evening shift cleaning office buildings downtown. She was never home, but she always left food in the refrigerator, always left notes telling Marcus she loved him. His mother came back when he was 8. High, desperate, needing money that Rosa didn't have. Marcus watched from his bedroom doorway as his mother screamed, cried, begged. Watched as Rosa, tears streaming down her weathered face, handed over $300 she'd saved for Marcus's school supplies. 2 weeks later, police found Isabel Cole in a motel bathroom. Overdose. The needle still in her arm. But here's what nobody knew. Mini cliffhanger. In the year before she died, during her rare moments of clarity, Isabel had taught Marcus to read. Not children's books. Real literature. Shakespeare. Hemingway. Toni Morrison. She'd sit with him on the fire escape of whatever apartment they were crashing in, reading aloud, explaining metaphors and symbolism with the kind of passion that suggested she might have been something else, someone else, in another life. Marcus inherited her love of words. By age 10, he was reading at a college level. By 12, he'd devoured every book in the public library's young adult section and moved on to the classics. By 15, he could quote Langston Hughes and James Baldwin from memory. None of his teachers noticed. How could they? He was just another poor kid from the East Side, another scholarship case filling a diversity quota at Jefferson High. Rosa noticed, though, even as cancer began eating away at her lungs. Stage 4, the doctors said, too far gone for the treatments insurance would cover. She'd smile when she found Marcus reading late into the night. "You're going to be something, mijo," she'd whisper, her voice getting weaker each week. "Something your mother couldn't be. Something I never had the chance to become." Marcus would nod, pretend to believe her, and go back to reading. Because what else could he do? He was 17 years old. He worked minimum wage at a car wash, scrubbing other people's expensive cars while wearing clothes from the Goodwill donation bin. He lived in a shelter because Rosa's apartment was gone, sold to pay for the few treatments she could afford before her savings ran out. Invisible. That's what he was. That's what he'd always been. Until October 15th. Until the diner. Until Elena. Rosie's Diner was the only place Marcus felt human. Corner booth, ripped vinyl, flickering neon sign. $2 coffee he'd nurse for hours while doing homework. Rosie, the owner, pretended not to notice when he refilled his water cup with Sprite. Small kindnesses. They added up. Today was Tuesday, October 15th, one of those fall evenings where the sun died early and shadows stretched long. Marcus was halfway through his calculus homework when she walked in. Elena Reyes. 3 weeks since she'd transferred to Jefferson High. 3 weeks of watching her eat lunch alone, which made no sense. Girls who looked like Elena. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, eyes that said, "Don't even try." They collected followers. They didn't sit solo in corner booths with textbooks. But Elena did. "You're staring again." Marcus flinched. "What?" "Third day in a row." She didn't look up from her calculus book. "It's weird." "Sorry, I wasn't—" "You were." She turned a page. "What's your name?" Nobody asked his name. Ever. "Marcus. Marcus Cole." "The scholarship kid." Still not looking at him. "Brett Carson's favorite punching bag." "You know Brett?" "He tried to ask me out. I told him I'd rather eat glass." She finally glanced up, the faintest hint of a smile. "He didn't take it well." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. When was the last time he'd done that? "I'm Elena." "I know." "Of course you do." She closed her textbook, studied him with those sharp eyes. "Why do you come here every day? This place is a dump." "Coffee's cheap. Rosie's nice." He hesitated. "And nobody bothers me here. I can just exist." Elena nodded slowly. "I get that." "Do you? Why do you think I'm here instead of the smoothie place with the cheerleaders?" She opened her textbook again. "Sometimes invisible is better." Marcus stared at her. This girl, this beautiful, untouchable girl. She understood. This is when everything changed. "Hey." Elena's voice dropped. "That car has passed 3 times." Marcus's blood went cold. The gray sedan, dented rear panel, tinted windows, crawling past Rosie's like a shark circling prey. First pass, 4:47 p.m. Second pass, 4:52 p.m. Third, 4:58 p.m. Stopped right in front of Elena's window. Marcus stood up. His chair scraped loud. His heart hammered against his ribs. Every instinct he'd developed growing up in the bad part of town was screaming, "Wrong, wrong, wrong." "Elena, I see it." The passenger window rolled down. Marcus saw the barrel first, black metal catching the last light of the dying sun, pointed directly at Elena. Time stopped. His body moved. "Get down!" 3 strides. His sneakers slipped on grease. Didn't matter. Nothing mattered except reaching her. He launched himself across the booth, shoulder dropping, arms wrapping around her body, driving her down, down, down to the floor. The first bullet passed through the space where her head had been a half-second earlier. Then the world became noise and pain. Glass exploded inward. Bullets punched through the booth, the walls, the ceiling. Marcus felt impacts: shoulder, ribs, back, leg. 4 separate fires igniting in his body. He pressed Elena harder into the floor, made himself as big as possible, covered every inch of her. She was screaming. Good. Screaming meant breathing. Breathing meant alive. The gunfire stopped. Tires screeched. The sedan roared away. Silence. Then chaos. "Marcus!" Elena's hands were on his face, wet with something warm. His blood. "Marcus, look at me." He tried to focus. Hard to see. Everything going gray at the edges. "Are you hit?" "Am I?" Her voice cracked. "You just took 4 bullets and you're asking if I'm hit?" "Are you?" No, I'm fine. But you're bleeding everywhere." "Good." He smiled. Tried to, anyway. His lips weren't working right. "That's good. Don't you dare close your eyes. Don't you dare." But the darkness was coming, fast and cold and absolute. The last thing Marcus saw was Elena's face hovering above him, tears cutting tracks through the blood on her cheeks. The last thing he heard was her voice, desperate and furious. "Stay with me, Marcus Cole. My father will kill them all for this. I swear to God he'll kill them all." Then nothing. What happened next will shock you. Marcus died in the ambulance, flatlined for 47 seconds while paramedics fought to bring him back. "Clear!" His body jerked. The monitor stayed flat. "Again! Clear!" Another jolt. Nothing. Elena gripped his hand so hard her knuckles went white. "Come back! Do you hear me? Come back!" "Clear!" Beep. Weak, thready, but there. "We got him! Pulse is back! Go, go, go!" Elena collapsed against the ambulance wall, shaking, crying, covered in a stranger's blood. No, not a stranger, not anymore. Marcus Cole, the invisible boy, the one who'd thrown himself on bullets for a girl he barely knew. She pulled out her phone. Dialed. "Dad? Elena, what's wrong? Someone tried to kill me." 3 seconds of silence. Then cold as winter. "Where?" "County General, now Rosie's Diner before." "Are you hurt?" "No. A boy saved me. He's..." She looked at Marcus's pale face. The tubes. The blood. "He's dying. I'm on my way." The line went dead. Elena pressed her forehead to Marcus's knuckles. "Hold on. Please, just hold on." Victor Viper Reyes walked into County General Hospital like he owned it. Leather vest, Hell's Angels patches, cold blue eyes that made nurses step aside and security guards suddenly find other places to be. Behind him, 3 brothers from the club, equally intimidating, equally silent. Elena met him in the hallway outside the OR. "Dad." Viper pulled his daughter into a crushing embrace, held her for 10 seconds, 20. When he released her, his eyes were scanning her for injuries. "You're okay?" "I told you I'm fine. It's Marcus." "I know. Tell me everything." She did. The sedan, the gun barrel, Marcus launching himself across the diner, the bullets, the blood, the way he'd smiled at her, actually smiled, while he was dying. But there was one thing he didn't know. Viper listened without interrupting. When she finished, his face was stone. "This boy, you knew him before?" "Barely. We talked maybe twice. He's nobody, Dad. A shelter kid. He had no reason to. But he did. Yes. Viper turned to one of his brothers. Tank, I want everything on the shooters. Car, weapons, prints, witnesses. I want names by sunrise. On it, Prez. Crow, find out who this Marcus Cole is. Family, history, everything. I want to know what he ate for breakfast. Done. The brothers disappeared. Viper sat down beside his daughter. For a long moment, neither spoke. The Demon Riders, Viper finally said. Elena's blood went cold. You're sure? Razor's been wanting payback for 5 years. I killed his brother. Self-defense, but he never saw it that way. Viper's jaw tightened. He targeted you to hurt me. And Marcus? Wrong place, wrong time. Viper looked at the OR doors. Or right place, right time, depending on perspective. He didn't know who you were, who I was. That's what makes it interesting. Viper's expression shifted. Everyone wants something, Elena. Everyone has an angle. But this boy, this Marcus Cole, he had nothing to gain. He just acted. He might die, Dad. He might. Viper stood. And if he doesn't, then what? Then I owe him a debt. Viper's voice was cold, final. The club owes him a debt, and the Hells Angels always pay their debts. Comment where you're listening from. Subscribe to channel. The surgery took 7 hours. 4 bullets removed, 1 collapsed lung repaired, internal bleeding stopped. Transfusion, 6 pints of blood to replace what Marcus had left on Rosie's floor. When the surgeon emerged, gray-faced and exhausted, Elena was still waiting. He's alive, the doctor said. Barely. Elena felt the floor tilt beneath her. The next 48 hours are critical. 1 bullet lodged near his spine. We couldn't remove it without risking paralysis. The surgeon rubbed his eyes. If he survives, he may never walk again. May never. I'm sorry. We did everything we could. The surgeon paused. Is there family we should contact? His grandmother, Rosa Cole. She's in hospice care on the east side. Hospice? The surgeon's expression softened. How old is this kid? 17. The doctor shook his head. Said nothing. What was there to say? Marcus woke at 3:12 a.m. Pain was the first thing he registered. Pain so vast and deep it felt like drowning. Then, the beeping machines, the smell of antiseptic, the darkness of an unfamiliar room, and a figure sitting in the chair beside his bed. Not Elena? A man. Large, leather vest, eyes that glinted in the dim light of the monitors. You're awake. The voice was gravel and smoke. Good. We need to talk. Marcus tried to speak. His throat was sandpaper. Who? Victor Reyes. Most people call me Viper. The man leaned forward. I'm Elena's father. The name meant nothing to Marcus, but something in the man's posture, his presence, his absolute certainty, it all screamed danger. She okay? Viper stared at him. You're lying in a hospital bed with 4 holes in your body, and your first question is about my daughter? Is she? She's fine, not a scratch. A pause. Because of you. Marcus closed his eyes. Relief flooded through him, cool and clean. Good. Why? Why what? Why did you do it? Viper's voice sharpened. You didn't know her. You didn't know me. You had nothing to gain and everything to lose. So why throw yourself in front of those bullets? Marcus was quiet for a moment. The question should have been hard to answer. It wasn't. Because she was going to die and I could stop it. That's the only answer I have. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Viper stood, walked to the window. The city lights painted his scarred face in shades of yellow and orange. The doctors say you need surgery. Real surgery. The kind that costs more than you'll make in 10 years. Without it, that bullet near your spine will eventually kill you, or paralyze you, or both. Marcus laughed. It hurt, but he laughed. Sounds about right. You find that funny? I find it fitting. Invisible Kid saves a life, loses his own. There's poetry in that. Viper turned. Your grandmother? Rosa Martinez Cole? Stage 4 lung cancer. Currently dying in a hospice because you can't afford the treatment that might save her. Marcus's heart stuttered. How do you... I know everything about you, Marcus Cole. Viper's eyes were cold. The shelter. The car wash job. The mother who overdosed. The father who never existed. He paused. I know you haven't eaten in 3 days. I know you're failing gym because you're too weak from hunger to run the mile. I know you've been invisible your whole life because being seen meant being hurt. What do you want? I want to understand. Viper sat back down, leaned close. In my world, nobody does something for nothing. Everyone has a price, everyone has an agenda. But you're different. I'm not different, I'm just tired. Marcus's voice cracked. Tired of watching people suffer when I could help. Tired of being invisible. Tired of living a life that doesn't matter. So you decided to die for a stranger? I decided to matter, just once, for 1 second. Marcus met his gaze. And I did. I mattered. For the first time in 17 years, I mattered. Silence stretched between them. Then Viper nodded. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. The Hells Angels pay their debts, he said slowly. You saved my daughter's life. That means I owe you. The club owes you. I'm not asking what you want. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Viper stood. Your surgery, the real one, the one that will save your life, happens tomorrow. Best neurosurgeon in the state. My expense. I can't. Your grandmother's treatment, the experimental kind, the kind that actually works, starts next week, also my expense. You can't. I can do whatever I want. Viper moved toward the door. When you're back on your feet, we'll talk about the future, about what you want, about what I can offer. He paused, hand on the doorknob. You threw yourself on bullets for my daughter. That makes you family now, whether you like it or not. And if I don't want to be family? Viper smiled. It wasn't comforting. Then we'll have a very different conversation. The door closed behind him. Marcus stared at the ceiling. His mind was spinning. 24 hours ago, he'd been invisible, forgotten, dying slowly from poverty and neglect. Now he was lying in a hospital bed, 4 bullets removed from his body, with the vice president of the Hells Angels claiming he was family. What the hell had he gotten himself into? 60 miles away, in a bar that smelled like stale beer and broken dreams, a phone rang. The man who answered had dead eyes and a skull tattoo covering his throat. Razor, president of the Demon Riders. Talk. We missed the girl. Some kid jumped in front of her. Took all the bullets. Razor's grip tightened on the phone. What kid? Nobody. Marcus something. Shelter rat from her school. Is he dead? Don't know. Last I heard they were carving bullets out of him at County General. Razor was quiet for a long moment. In the corner of the bar, a jukebox played something sad and slow. Country music, heartbreak and revenge. Find out if he lives, Razor said, and if he does, then what? Then we finish the job. Razor's voice dropped to a whisper. The witness dies. The girl dies. And when Viper buries them both, he'll finally understand what it feels like to lose everything. He hung up, stared at the portrait of his brother hanging behind the bar. 5 years dead. 5 years of planning. 5 years of waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And some random kid had ruined it. Not for long. Razor smiled. It was the smile of a man who had nothing left to lose. "Soon, brother," he whispered to the portrait. "Very soon." This is when everything changed. Three days after the shooting, Marcus Cole opened his eyes to find a stranger sitting at the foot of his hospital bed. Not Viper, not Elena, a woman he'd never seen before. 60s, maybe. Gray hair pulled back tight. Eyes that had seen too much and forgiven too little. "You're awake." Her voice was flat. "Good. We need to talk about your grandmother." Marcus's heart seized. "Rosa, is she—" "She's alive, barely." The woman stood. "I'm Margaret Chen. I run the hospice where Rosa's been staying, or was staying until 3 men in leather showed up yesterday and moved her to a private facility." "What?" "Big men. Motorcycles. One of them had a snake tattoo on his neck." Margaret's lips pressed thin. "They had paperwork. Legal paperwork. Signed by you." "I didn't sign anything." "I know. You've been unconscious for 3 days." She pulled a folded document from her purse. "But someone did, and now your grandmother is in a private cancer treatment center that costs more per day than I make in a month." Marcus stared at the paper. His signature. Forged, but perfect. Viper. "The men," Marcus said slowly. "Did they hurt her?" "No, they were gentle, actually. Carried her like she was made of glass. One of them held her hand the whole way." Margaret shook her head. "I've been in this business 30 years. I've never seen anything like it." "Where is she now?" "St. Vincent's Oncology Center. Top floor. Private suite." Margaret tucked the paper back in her purse. "I don't know who you are, Marcus Cole. I don't know what you did to deserve this kind of attention. But whoever these people are, they're serious." She left without another word. Marcus lay back against his pillow. His body screamed with every breath. 4 bullet wounds, a chunk of metal still lodged near his spine. And now his grandmother, his dying grandmother, was in the hands of the Hell's Angels. He should have been terrified. Instead, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The door opened again. Elena slipped in, 2 coffee cups in hand, dark circles under her eyes. "You're awake." She set the cups down, pulled her chair close. "The nurses said you were talking to someone. Who was that woman?" "Hospice director. Apparently your father kidnapped my grandmother." Elena winced. "Kidnapped is a strong word. What word would you use?" "Relocated. Aggressively." She handed him a cup. "It's just water. Doctor said no caffeine yet." Marcus took it. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. "How do you feel?" Elena asked. "Like I got hit by a truck. Then the truck backed up and hit me again." "That's the morphine wearing off. They're cutting your dosage." "Fantastic." Elena was quiet for a moment. Then, "My father wants to see you today. He has questions." "More questions?" "Different questions." She met his eyes. "About what you want. About the future." "I don't have a future, Elena. I have 4 holes in my body and a grandmother with cancer. That's not a future. That's a countdown. That's what my father wants to discuss." She stood. "I'll tell him you're ready." "I didn't say I was ready." "You've been ready your whole life, Marcus. You just didn't know it yet." She left before he could respond. 20 minutes later, Viper walked in. He wasn't alone this time. 2 men flanked him. One was massive, easily 6'5", with arms like tree trunks and a beard that reached his chest. The other was lean, wiry, with cold eyes and a scar that ran from his temple to his jaw. "Marcus?" Viper pulled up a chair. "These are my brothers, Tank and Crow. They've been researching you." "Researching?" "Standard procedure." Crow's voice was soft, almost gentle. It didn't match his face. "When someone saves the princess, we like to know who they are." "I'm nobody." "Wrong," Tank rumbled. His voice was deep enough to shake walls. "You're the kid who took 4 bullets for a girl he didn't know. That's not nobody. That's somebody." Viper raised a hand. Both men fell silent. "I've been thinking about what you said," Viper began. "About wanting to matter. About being invisible your whole life." He leaned forward. "I understand that feeling more than you know. You're the VP of a motorcycle club. Everyone sees you. Now, yes. But I wasn't always this." Viper's expression shifted. Something almost vulnerable flickered across his scarred face. "I grew up in foster care. 13 different homes by the time I was 16. Nobody wanted me. Nobody saw me. I was just another broken kid the system chewed up and spit out." Marcus said nothing. What was there to say? "The Hells Angels gave me a family, a purpose, a reason to exist." Viper's voice hardened. "And I've spent 30 years building that family, protecting it, making it strong." He paused. "My daughter is the most important part of that family. You saved her life." "I know." "Ot. So now I need to know. What do you want?" "Have you ever been asked that question when you had nothing?" Marcus had thought about this. In the quiet hours between morphine doses and fitful sleep, he'd turned the question over in his mind like a stone. "My grandmother," he said finally. "The treatment she needs. The real treatment. Not hospice. Not palliative care. The kind that actually fights the cancer." Viper nodded slowly. "Already done. She starts her first round of immunotherapy tomorrow." Marcus blinked. "What?" "I told you. The Hells Angels pay their debts. Your grandmother is family now. She gets the same treatment my own mother would get." I don't know what to say." "Say you understand what this means." Viper's eyes locked onto his. "When I call someone family, I don't do it lightly. It comes with expectations, loyalties, responsibilities." "You want me to join the club?" "No, not yet. You're 17. You're broken. You need to heal first, in every sense of the word." Viper stood. "What I want is for you to understand that you're not alone anymore. That you have people now. People who will bleed for you, die for you, kill for you." He paused. "And in return, you do the same." The weight of those words settled over Marcus like a blanket. Heavy, warm, terrifying. "What if I say no?" "Then you walk away. No hard feelings. We still pay for your grandmother's treatment. We still cover your medical bills. The debt is paid." Viper paused at the door. "But I don't think you'll say no." "Why not?" "Because I've read your file, Marcus Cole. I know every foster home that rejected you, every teacher who gave up on you, every night you spent hungry, alone, wondering if anyone would ever give a damn whether you lived or died." Viper's voice softened. "I know that feeling. And I know that when someone finally offers you a hand, you take it, because the alternative is drowning." He left. Tank and Crow followed. Marcus stared at the ceiling. A hand. That's what Viper was offering. A hand reaching down into the darkness, offering to pull him up. But hands could also drag you under. The question was, which kind was this? What happened next will shock you. Elena came back an hour later with news that made Marcus's blood run cold. "They found the shooters!" Marcus pushed himself up, ignoring the lightning bolt of pain that shot through his spine. "Where?" "A motel outside the city. Tank and some of the brothers tracked them through the stolen car. They ditched it, but not well enough. Elena sat on the edge of his bed. Her face was pale. Marcus, there's something else. Tell me. The shooters, they weren't just random hitmen. They're demon riders, members of Razor's inner circle. She took a breath. And they had a list. A list? Names, addresses, photos. Elena's hand trembled slightly. My name was on it, my school, my schedule. They'd been watching me for weeks. Marcus felt cold despite the hospital's overheated air. They were planning this. Yes, and there's more. Elena pulled out her phone, showed him a photo. A mugshot. Dead eyes, skull tattoo, face like a hatchet. This is Razor, president of the Demon Riders. 5 years ago, my father killed his brother in a fight. Self-defense, but Razor never accepted that. He's been planning revenge ever since. By killing you. By making my father watch me die. Elena's voice cracked. That was the plan. Kill me slowly. Make it public. Break my father's heart before breaking his club. Marcus reached for her hand. She let him take it. What happened to the shooters? Elena was quiet for a long moment. My father happened to them. Marcus didn't ask for details. He didn't want them. Some things were better left in the dark. There's a problem, Elena continued. The shooters talked before they stopped talking. Razor knows they failed. He knows you survived. She squeezed his hand. And he knows you're the witness who can identify his people. So I'm a target now. You were always a target. You just didn't know it. Elena's eyes met his. My father is posting guards. Brothers from the club. They'll be outside your door 24/7 until this is over. Until what's over? Until Razor is dead. Or we are. Comment where you're listening from. Share this story. Marcus let that sink in. A week ago, his biggest worry was finding enough change for coffee. Now he was caught in the middle of a gang war, with a price on his head and bullets in his back. I should be scared, he said. You're not? I don't know what I am. He looked at her. I spent my whole life trying not to be seen. Now I'm the most visible person in a war I don't understand. It's a lot. I'm sorry. Elena's eyes glistened. This is my fault. If I hadn't come to that diner, then you'd be dead, and I'd still be invisible. Marcus shook his head. I'd rather be a target than a ghost. Elena leaned forward and kissed his forehead. Soft, brief, electric. Get some rest, she whispered. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Why? Because tomorrow you meet my grandmother, and she's scarier than my father. She left him with that. And Marcus found himself smiling despite everything. Smiling because Elena Reyes had kissed him. Smiling because for the first time in his life, someone was fighting for him. It felt strange. It felt good. It felt like something worth living for. The next morning, Marcus had his first visitor who wasn't connected to the Hells Angels. Rosa Martinez Cole, his grandmother. She came through the door in a wheelchair, pushed by a nurse in scrubs that probably cost more than Marcus's entire wardrobe. Rosa looked different, still frail, still fighting, but there was color in her cheeks that hadn't been there in months, and her eyes, those fierce, stubborn eyes, were bright with tears. Mijo, her voice cracked. My stupid, brave, beautiful boy. Abuela. Marcus felt his own eyes burning. You're supposed to be in bed. I was in bed for 6 months, waiting to die. Rosa waved dismissively. Now I'm getting treatment that actually works, in a hospital that doesn't smell like death. I can spare an hour for my only grandson. The nurse parked the wheelchair beside Marcus's bed and quietly retreated. Rosa reached out, took Marcus's hand in both of hers. Her skin was paper thin, but her grip was iron. "They told me what you did." Her voice was steady now. "They told me you threw yourself in front of a gun for some girl you barely knew." "She was going to die, Abuela. So you decided to die instead?" "I decided to try." Rosa was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. A real laugh, full and warm, the kind Marcus hadn't heard from her in years. "You're just like your mother," she said. Marcus flinched. They never talked about his mother. Never. Isabel was like that too, always jumping first, thinking later, always trying to save everyone except herself. Rosa's grip tightened. It's what got her killed. The drugs, the bad men, the choices, they all came from that same place. That need to feel something, to matter. "I'm not like her." "No, you're better." Rosa's eyes bore into his. "She ran toward destruction. You ran toward salvation. Same impulse, different direction." Marcus didn't know what to say. His mother had been a shadow his whole life. A ghost. A cautionary tale whispered by social workers and foster parents. Don't end up like Isabel Cole. "These people," Rosa continued, "the ones who are paying for everything, the ones with the motorcycles and the leather, they're dangerous, aren't they?" "Yes." "And you're part of them now?" "I don't know what I am, Abuela." Rosa patted his hand. "Then figure it out. But while you're figuring, remember this. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who fights for you, who stays." She glanced toward the door, where Tank's massive shadow was visible through the frosted glass. "These people showed up. They're fighting for you." Rosa met his eyes. "The question is whether they're worth staying for. And if they're not, then you take what they give you and you walk away. No shame in survival, mijo. Your mother never learned that lesson. Make sure you do." The nurse returned. Time for Rosa to go back to her treatment. But before she left, Rosa turned back to Marcus one last time. "The girl," she said. "Elena. She's been here every day, sitting with you while you slept, talking to you." A small smile. "She's beautiful." "I know. She's also the reason you nearly died." "I know that too. Worth it?" Marcus thought about Elena's gray eyes, her sharp tongue, the way she'd kissed his forehead and called him brave. "Yeah," he said. "Worth it." Rosa nodded, satisfied. "Then you already have your answer." She was wheeled away, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. But not for long. The door burst open. Crow rushed in, his scarred face tight with urgency. "We have a problem." Marcus tried to sit up. Pain screamed through his body. "What kind of problem?" "Razor kind." Crow was already checking the window, the hallway, the corners of the room. "Our intel says he's planning something. Something big, something soon." "Planning what?" "We don't know yet, but we intercepted a message, one phrase repeated 3 times. Crow moved to the door. "Kill the witness." Marcus's blood turned to ice. "That's me. That's you." Crow looked back at him. His cold eyes held something almost like sympathy. "I'm doubling the guard. You don't go anywhere without an escort. You don't talk to anyone you don't know. You don't even piss without one of us standing outside." "For how long?" Crow was quiet for a moment. "Until Razor's dead. Or until you are." He was gone before Marcus could respond. The room felt smaller now, the walls closer, the beeping of machines suddenly sinister. Marcus Cole had wanted to matter. Now he mattered so much that someone wanted him dead. Be careful what you wish for. 2 days later, Marcus was cleared for supervised walking. Short distances. Slow pace. A brother from the club on each arm. It was humiliating and liberating in equal measure. Tank and a younger member named Piston helped him down the hallway, past nurses who pretended not to stare, past other patients who definitely stared. "You're doing good, kid." Tank's voice was surprisingly gentle for such a large man. "Most people don't walk for a week after what you went through. Most people don't have a gang leader trying to kill them." Marcus gritted his teeth against the pain. "Motivation helps." "True that." They made it to the end of the hallway. Marcus leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Sweat dripped down his face. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Shoot." "Why did you join the club? I mean, what made you become a Hell's Angel?" Tank was quiet for a moment. His massive hands hung at his sides like weapons waiting to be used. "I was 22, he said finally. "Just out of prison. Armed robbery. Stupid kid stuff. Couldn't get a job. Couldn't get an apartment. Nobody wanted anything to do with me." He paused. "And the club didn't care about my record. They cared about my loyalty, my strength, my willingness to do what needed to be done." Tank met Marcus's eyes. "They gave me a family when I had nothing, a purpose when I was lost, a reason to keep breathing when all I wanted was to stop." "Do you ever regret it?" "Every day." Tank's expression didn't change. "And I'd do it all again in a heartbeat." Marcus thought about that as they walked back to his room. Every day. And I'd do it all again. That was what family meant, he realized. Not perfection, not safety, just the willingness to show up over and over, no matter how hard it got. He was starting to understand. That night, Elena came with news. She sat on the edge of his bed, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly. "We found Razor." Marcus's heart stopped. "Where?" "A warehouse on the east side. Crow's been tracking him for days. He's holed up with about 30 demon riders." "Planning something?" "An attack. We think so. Tomorrow night, maybe. The anniversary of his brother's death." Elena's voice cracked. "My father is gathering the club. Every member, every ally. They're going to hit the warehouse before Razor can hit us. A preemptive strike. A war." Elena's eyes met his. "And my father wants you there." Marcus blinked. "What? I can barely walk." "Not to fight, to watch, to see what the club does for family." She took his hand. "He wants you to understand what you're being offered, the good and the bad, the loyalty and the violence. And if I don't want to see it, then you stay here. No judgment, no pressure." Elena squeezed his fingers. "But Marcus, if you're going to be part of this world, you need to know what it really is. Not just the brotherhood and the protection, the blood too." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his grandmother, getting treatment that would have been impossible a week ago. He thought about Elena, who'd stayed by his side every day. He thought about Viper, who'd offered him a hand when everyone else had let him drown. And he thought about Razor, a man who wanted him dead for the crime of being brave. "I'll go," he said. Elena nodded. No surprise, no relief, just acceptance. "Tomorrow then, get some rest. You're going to need it." She kissed his cheek and left. Marcus lay in the darkness, listening to the beep of machines and the distant sound of motorcycles. Tomorrow he would see what the Hell's Angels really were. Tomorrow he would make his choice. Tomorrow everything would change. But tonight, he closed his eyes and dreamed of Elena. And for the first time in 17 years, Marcus Cole felt like he belonged somewhere, even if that somewhere was built on blood and iron. Even if it might destroy him, at least he wouldn't be invisible anymore. Drop your experience in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between safety And belonging? The van smelled like gun oil and leather. Marcus sat wedged between Tank and Crow, his body screaming with every pothole, every turn, every bump in the road. The doctors had said he wasn't ready to leave the hospital. The doctors didn't know Razor was planning to attack tomorrow. "You okay, kid?" Tank's voice was low, barely audible over the engine. "No." "Good. Means you're paying attention." Ahead of them, a convoy of motorcycles carved through the darkness. 15 Hell's Angels in formation, their headlights cutting the night like a blade. Behind them, 2 more vans, 50 men total, armed and ready. This was war. Viper rode at the front, his silver hair visible even in the dim light. Elena had stayed behind at the clubhouse, despite her protests. Too dangerous, her father had said, too important to risk. Marcus understood. If this went wrong, Elena was the future, the legacy, the thing worth protecting. And him? He was the witness, the liability, the boy who knew too much. The convoy slowed, stopped. Crow's hand found Marcus's shoulder. "Stay in the van. No matter what happens, you stay here. Understood?" "Understood." "I mean it, kid. This isn't a movie. People are going to die tonight. Real people." Crow's scarred face was inches from his. "Your job is to watch. Learn. Decide if this is really what you want." He paused. "And if it's not, then you walk away in the morning. No judgment." Crow opened the van door. Tank followed. The van door slammed shut, leaving Marcus alone in the darkness. Through the tinted windows, he watched the Hell's Angels move. Silent, professional, deadly. They spread out around the warehouse like wolves circling prey. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the night exploded. Gunfire. Screaming. The crash of doors being kicked in. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like lightning, illuminating shapes moving too fast to follow. Marcus pressed his face against the window, heart hammering. This was real. This was happening. Men were dying 50 feet away, and all he could do was watch. This is when everything changed. The firefight lasted 11 minutes. 11 minutes that felt like 11 hours. When it was over, the silence was almost worse than the noise. Marcus sat frozen in the van, his breath fogging the glass, his hands shaking so badly he couldn't make them stop. The van door opened. Viper stood there, blood splattered across his face, his eyes wild with adrenaline and something darker. "It's done." His voice was rough. "Razor's people are finished." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "So this is over?" "No." Viper's jaw tightened. "Razor himself, he got away. There's a tunnel. We didn't know about it. He slipped out the back while we hit the front." "So this isn't over?" "No." Viper climbed into the van, sat across from Marcus. His leather vest was torn, blood seeping through a wound on his arm. "This was supposed to end it. Kill the head, the body dies. But now he's going to come back, angrier, more desperate." "Yes." Viper studied Marcus with those cold blue eyes. "You understand war, kid. Better than most people twice your age." "I understand survival. It's almost the same thing." Viper was quiet for a moment. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. A harsh sound, but genuine. "You remind me of myself. 30 years ago. Before all this." He gestured at the carnage outside. "Before I became what I am." "What were you before?" "Afraid, alone. Angry at a world that didn't give a damn whether I lived or died." Viper leaned forward. "You know what changed?" "The club?" "No, a choice." Viper's voice dropped. "Someone offered me a hand. Told me I could be part of something bigger than myself. And I took it. That choice, that single moment of saying yes, it defined everything that came after. Marcus understood. This was the same speech, the same offer, wrapped in blood and gunpowder instead of hospital walls. "What happened tonight?" Marcus said carefully. "How many people died?" Viper's expression flickered. 12. 3 of ours. 3. Tank caught one in the shoulder. He'll live. Crow took a graze to the head. He's fine." Viper paused. Piston wasn't so lucky. Marcus's blood went cold. Piston, the young brother who'd helped him walk the hospital hallway, who'd joked about teaching him to ride a motorcycle. Is he dead? Shot in the throat. Bled out before we could get him help. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Final. Marcus thought about Piston's laugh, his easy smile, the way he'd talked about his daughter, a 3-year-old named Maya who thought her daddy was a superhero. "He had a kid," Marcus whispered. "I know." "He died for this? For me? For revenge against a man who's still breathing?" "He died for family." Viper's voice hardened. He knew the risks. We all do. Every time we put on these vests, we accept that we might not take them off. That doesn't make it okay. No, it doesn't. Viper stood, moved to the door. But it makes it mean something. Piston died protecting his brothers. His daughter will grow up knowing her father was a hero, not a coward. He paused. That's worth something in this world. Viper climbed out of the van. We're heading back to the clubhouse. Elena's waiting. You can decide in the morning whether this life is for you. His eyes met Marcus's. But know this. Whatever you choose, Piston's death bought you time. Razor's wounded now. Weak. He won't move against us for days, maybe weeks. He paused. Use that time wisely. He walked away. Marcus sat alone in the van, surrounded by the smell of blood and gunpowder, and wondered if any choice was worth this price. Share this story, not the sanitized version, the real version. The clubhouse was chaos when they arrived. Brothers shouting, women crying, a prospect carrying Piston's body like he weighed nothing, laying him gently on a table draped with the club's colors. Marcus watched from the doorway, unable to move, unable to process what he was seeing. Elena found him there. Marcus. She grabbed his hands. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. He couldn't finish the sentence. I know. She pulled him close, and he let her. Let himself be held by this girl who'd turned his life upside down. I know. Piston's dead. I heard. He had a daughter. A little girl. Maya. She's 3. Elena's voice cracked. I've known Piston since I was 12. He taught me how to change a tire, how to throw a punch, how to... She stopped. Took a breath. This is what my father didn't want you to see. This is the bad. Marcus pulled back slightly, looked at her. Why are you still here? Why haven't you run from this life? Because it's my family. Good and bad. Blood and death. It's mine. Elena's expression hardened. You don't run from family. Even when it kills people you love? Especially then. She took his face in her hands. Marcus, I need you to understand something. This world, my father's world, it's not good. It's violent and dangerous, and sometimes it destroys the people in it. She paused. But it's also loyal, protective, real. I don't know if I can be part of that. Then don't be. Walk away. Go back to your life. Her voice softened. But know that if you walk away, you're walking away from me too. Because this is who I am, who I'll always be. It was an ultimatum, gentle but clear. Stay and accept the violence, or leave and lose Elena. Marcus looked at the room around him. The grieving brothers, the crying women, the body on the table covered in blood and honor. And then he looked at Elena, her gray eyes, her fierce heart, the way she'd stayed by his bedside every day when she could have been anywhere else. "I'm not walking away," he said. Elena's breath caught. "But I need time, to understand, to figure out what I'm getting into." He squeezed her hands. "Can you give me that?" "Yes." She kissed him, quick and fierce. "Yes, I can give you that." 3 days passed. Marcus was released from the hospital into the care of the Hells Angels, a small apartment near the clubhouse, paid for by Viper, guarded around the clock by rotating pairs of brothers. Rosa was moved to a recovery facility across town, her treatment progressing better than anyone expected. She called Marcus every night, checking on him, telling him stories about his mother that he'd never heard before. "She loved butterflies," Rosa said one evening. "Isabel, when she was little, she used to chase them around the garden for hours, said she wanted to catch one and keep it forever." "What happened?" "She caught one, and it died in her hands." Rosa's voice was soft. "Some things aren't meant to be held on to, mijo. Some things need to be free." Marcus thought about Elena, about the club, about the choice he was slowly making. "Abuela, do you think Mom would be proud of me?" Silence. Then, "I think she would be terrified for you." "But yes, mijo, she would be proud." That night, Marcus dreamed of butterflies with wings of fire. On the 4th day, Razor made his move. Not at the clubhouse, not at the hospital, not anywhere the Hells Angels expected. He hit Marcus's old workplace, the car wash where Marcus had scrubbed vehicles for minimum wage, where he'd saved every penny to buy his grandmother's medication. 3 demon riders walked in at noon, shot the manager in the leg, beat 2 employees unconscious, left a message spray-painted on the wall. "The witness dies next." Marcus heard about it from Crow. "Your friend Danny's in critical condition, skull fracture. They don't know if he'll wake up." Danny, the only co-worker who'd ever been kind to Marcus, who'd slipped him extra shifts when things were tight, who'd covered for him when he was too exhausted to function. "This is my fault," Marcus said. His voice was hollow. "Dead." "No, this is Razor's fault." "It's the same thing. They came after Danny because of me, because I was stupid enough to save someone I didn't know." "You saved Elena." Crow's voice was sharp. "My niece, Viper's daughter. You saved her life, and now you're blaming yourself for a monster's actions?" "Danny might die. Danny might die because Razor is a psychopath who kills innocent people to prove a point. That's not on you. That's on him." Crow grabbed Marcus's shoulders. "Listen to me. This guilt you're feeling, it's exactly what Razor wants. He wants you to crumble, to surrender, to give yourself up so he can make an example of you." "Maybe I should." Crow slapped him, hard enough to leave a mark. "Don't ever say that again." His scarred face was inches from Marcus's. "You think surrendering saves anyone? It doesn't. It just means you die too. And then Danny's sacrifice, Piston's sacrifice, all of it becomes meaningless." Marcus's cheek burned, but something in Crow's words cut through the fog of guilt. "What do I do?" "You fight. You survive. You trust your family to handle Razor." Crow's grip softened, and when the time comes, you make sure Danny's pain wasn't for nothing. That night, Marcus sat with Elena in the apartment's tiny kitchen. "I heard about Danny," she said quietly. "I'm sorry." "Everyone keeps saying that, sorry, like words can fix anything." "They can't, but they're better than silence." Elena reached across the table, laced her fingers through his. "Talk to me. Tell me what you're feeling." "Rage." The word came out hard. sharp. I'm angry, Elena. Angrier than I've ever been in my life. At Razor? At myself. At the whole goddamn world for putting us in this position. Good. Marcus looked up. Good? Anger's better than despair. Anger means you still care. You still want to fight. Elena's eyes held his. Use that anger. Let it fuel you. Just don't let it consume you. How do I know the difference? When you're using it, you're still in control. When it's using you... She paused. When it's using you, you become like Razor. All rage, no reason. Just destruction for destruction's sake. Marcus absorbed that. The line between using anger and being used by it. The razor's edge. He almost laughed at the irony. The line between justice and revenge. Your father wants to use me as bait, Marcus said. Elena flinched. He told you? Crow mentioned it. A plan to draw Razor out. Make him think I'm vulnerable, then trap him. Marcus met her eyes. I want to do it. No. Elena stood up, knocking her chair back. No, you almost died once for me. You're not doing it again. This isn't about you. It's about ending this. About making sure Danny and Piston and everyone else didn't suffer for nothing. There has to be another way. There isn't. Razor won't stop until I'm dead. You know that. So either I hide forever, or I face him. Marcus stood too, ignoring the pain that shot through his back. I'm the key to this, Elena. The bait that Razor can't resist. He took her hands. And if using myself as bait means protecting you, protecting Rosa, protecting everyone I care about, then I'll do it. Elena was crying now, silent tears streaming down her cheeks. I just found you, she whispered. I can't lose you. You won't. I survived 4 bullets for you, remember? He smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. I'm hard to kill. That's not funny. It's a little funny. She hit his chest. Then she kissed him, hard and desperate and tasting of tears. Promise me, she breathed against his lips. Promise me you'll come back. I promise. It was a lie. They both knew it. But sometimes lies were the only kindness left. So let me ask you, have you ever had to lie to protect someone you love? The plan was set for 3 days later. Viper laid it out in the clubhouse, surrounded by every brother who could still fight. Razor's holed up in a new location, a factory on the north end. Our sources say he's planning a major move, hitting the clubhouse directly. All-out assault. Suicide mission if he has to. Viper's voice was steady. Cold. We're not going to let that happen. How do we draw him out? Tank asked. Marcus. Viper looked at the boy standing in the corner. Still thin, still healing, still somehow standing despite everything. Razor wants the witness dead more than he wants anything else. It's personal now. We spread the word that Marcus is being moved to a safe house tomorrow night. Light security. Vulnerable. You want to use him as bait? Crow's voice was flat. I want to end this. Viper's jaw tightened. Marcus volunteered. He understands the risks. He's 17. He's earned the right to choose. Viper turned to Marcus. Last chance to back out, kid. No judgment. Marcus stepped forward. The room fell silent. Razor killed Piston. He put Danny in the hospital. He tried to murder Elena in front of me. His voice didn't waver. I'm not backing out. I'm ending this. Viper nodded slowly. Something like pride flickered in his eyes. Then we move tomorrow. Everyone knows their position. Everyone knows the signal. He looked around the room. Brothers, this is it. Win or lose, it ends tomorrow night. The room erupted in shouts, fists raised, the roar of men ready for war. Marcus stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by bikers who'd become his family, facing a death that might be waiting for him tomorrow. And somehow, impossibly, he wasn't afraid. he was ready. Chatur. The night before the operation, Elena came to his apartment. She didn't knock, just walked in, closed the door behind her, and stood there looking at him with eyes that held everything she couldn't say. "I wanted to say goodbye," she whispered, "just in case." "It's not goodbye." "It might be." She crossed the room, took his face in her hands. "And if it is, I need you to know something. Elena, I love you." The words fell between them like stones into still water. "I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you threw yourself over me. Maybe when you woke up and asked if I was okay instead of asking about yourself. Maybe it was always going to happen, and we were just waiting to meet." She took a shaky breath. "But I love you, Marcus Cole. And if tomorrow is the end, I needed you to know." Marcus felt something crack open in his chest, something he'd kept locked away for 17 years. "I love you too." His voice broke. "I've never said that to anyone, never felt it. But you, Elena, you're the reason I want to survive this, not just for revenge, not just for Rosa, for you." She kissed him. And for one moment, one perfect moment, there was no war, no razor, no bullets or blood or death waiting in the darkness, just two broken people finding something whole in each other. "Come back to me," Elena whispered. "I will." This time it wasn't a lie. This time Marcus meant it with everything he had. Tomorrow he would face Razor. Tomorrow he would fight. And tomorrow, one way or another, everything would change. But tonight, he held Elena close and let himself believe that love was enough, that love could save them all. The van rolled through empty streets at 11 p.m., exactly as planned. Marcus sat in the back, hands steady despite the storm raging inside him. Two brothers flanked him. Prospects who'd volunteered for the most dangerous seats. Bait within bait. 30 seconds, Crow's voice crackled through the radio. Razor's people took the hook. 6 vehicles converging on your position. Marcus closed his eyes. Breathed. Let the fear wash through him and out the other side. "Remember the plan," the prospect on his left whispered. "When it starts, you hit the floor and stay there." "I know." "I'm serious, kid. You're not a fighter. You're the prize. Our job is to keep you alive long enough for the cavalry to arrive." "How long?" 3 minutes. Maybe 4. The prospect checked his weapon. "Longest 4 minutes of your life." The van slowed. Marcus felt the shift, the subtle change in momentum that meant they were approaching the kill zone. "Contact," Crow's voice again. "They're moving in. All units, stand by." Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs. Somewhere out there, Viper and 30 Hell's Angels were waiting in the darkness, ready to spring the trap. Somewhere out there, Razor was coming for him, driven by hate and vengeance and 5 years of pain. And here in this van, Marcus Cole waited to see which side fate would choose. The first bullet punched through the windshield. The driver slumped. The van swerved wildly. Marcus was thrown against the wall, pain exploding through his still-healing wounds. "Ambush!" The prospect grabbed Marcus, shoved him to the floor. "Stay down! Stay!" More gunfire. The van's windows shattered. The prospect jerked once, twice, then collapsed on top of Marcus, his blood warm and wet. Marcus couldn't breathe, couldn't move. The weight of the dying man pressed him into the floor while bullets tore through metal above his head. "Cavalry!" someone screamed outside. "Cavalry now!" The roar of motorcycles. The thunder of gunfire. The van door tore open and hands grabbed Marcus, dragging him out into chaos. Tank's face appeared above him. "You hit?" "No, the prospect?" "Dead, both of them." Tank's expression was stone. "Move, now." They ran. Marcus's legs screamed in protest. his back burning with every step. Around them, the night was alive with violence. Muzzle flashes, screaming, the crash of metal on metal. "Where's Razor?" Marcus gasped. "Don't know. The bastard sent his people in first. He's hanging back, watching." Then the plan failed. The plan changed. Tank shoved Marcus behind a car, crouched beside him. "Viper's adapting. Just stay alive, kid. That's your only job right now." The firefight raged for what felt like hours. Marcus pressed himself against cold metal, listening to men die around him, wondering if the next bullet had his name on it. The prospect's blood was still wet on his shirt. 2 men dead because of him. 2 more names to add to the list. Then, suddenly, silence. Marcus raised his head. Tank was gone. The street was littered with bodies. Demon riders mostly, but some Hell's Angels too. The price of war paid in full. "Well, well," the voice came from behind him. Marcus spun. His blood turned to ice. Razor stood 10 feet away, a gun pointed directly at Marcus's chest. The skull tattoo on his neck seemed to grin in the dim light. "The witness." Razor's voice was almost casual. "You've caused me a lot of trouble, kid. Where's your army?" "Dead or dying, doesn't matter." Razor stepped closer. "I didn't come here to win a war. I came here to finish what I started. Killing me won't bring your brother back." "No, but it'll hurt Viper." Razor's finger tightened on the trigger. "And right now, that's enough. Any last words?" Marcus thought about Elena, about Rosa, about the life he'd almost had. "Yeah." He met Razor's eyes. "You missed." Razor frowned. "What?" "At the diner. 4 bullets and I'm still standing." Marcus smiled. It wasn't brave, it was defiant. "You're not as good as you think you are." Razor's face twisted with rage. His finger squeezed. The shot never came. A blur of motion, a flash of silver. Viper appeared from nowhere, his knife buried to the hilt in Razor's gun arm. The weapon clattered to the ground. Razor screamed. Viper didn't stop. He grabbed Razor by the throat, slammed him against the car. His eyes were cold fire, his voice barely human. "You tried to kill my daughter. You killed my brothers. You terrorized a 17-year-old boy who did nothing but save a life." Viper's grip tightened. "Give me one reason not to end you right here." Razor laughed. Blood bubbled from his lips. "Because you're not a murderer, Viper. You're a businessman. A leader." His eyes flickered to Marcus. "And the kid is watching. You really want him to see what you are?" Viper's jaw tightened. Marcus stepped forward. "Do it." Both men looked at him. "He'll never stop," Marcus said. His voice was steady, certain. "You let him live, he comes back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, and next time he might succeed." He met Viper's eyes. "End it." Razor's laugh died in his throat. "You'd really let him kill me? What happened to the hero who threw himself on bullets for a stranger?" "I saved someone worth saving." Marcus's voice was cold. "You're not." Viper stared at Marcus for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe, or respect. Then he turned back to Razor. "My daughter wanted me to spare you. She said killing you would make us no better than you." Viper leaned close. "But my daughter isn't here, and I've never claimed to be a good man." The knife moved. Razor didn't scream this time. He didn't make any sound at all. Marcus watched as the body slumped to the ground. He waited for horror, for revulsion, for the guilt that should come with witnessing a murder. None of it came. All he felt was relief. It was over. Finally. Completely. Over. "You okay, kid?" Viper wiped his blade on Razor's jacket. "I don't know." "Honest answer." Viper tucked the knife away. "Let's go home." They walked back through the carnage together, stepping over bodies, passing brothers who nodded in respect. The war was won. The enemy was dead. And Marcus Cole, the invisible boy who'd started all this with a single act of courage, was still standing, bruised, bleeding, but standing. That had to count for something. The clubhouse was quiet when they arrived. Not the chaotic quiet of grief. Something different. Expectant. Waiting. Elena met them at the door. Her eyes found Marcus first, scanning him for wounds, for damage. When she saw he was whole, she let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. "It's done," she asked her father. "It's done. Razor's dead. The demon riders are finished." Elena's gaze flickered to Viper's blood-stained hands. She didn't ask. Didn't need to. Instead, she crossed to Marcus and wrapped her arms around him. "You came back. I promised I would. You're bleeding. Not all of it's mine." She pulled back slightly, studied his face. "You watched him die. Razor. Yes. How do you feel?" Marcus thought about it. Really thought. "Empty," he said finally. Not satisfied. Not horrified. Just empty. "That's normal," Viper's voice from behind them. "The first time you see death up close, it takes something from you. The trick is not letting it take too much." Elena took Marcus's hand. "Come on. There's something you need to see." She led him through the clubhouse, past brothers who clapped his shoulder, past women who nodded with newfound respect, through a door in the back, down a hallway he'd never walked, into a room filled with people. Rosa sat in a wheelchair near the window, her eyes bright, her cheeks flushed with color. Beside her stood Tank, Crow, and a dozen other brothers Marcus had come to know over the past weeks. And at the center of it all, draped over a chair, was a leather vest. Not full Hell's Angels patches, something different. A single patch on the back, friend of the club below it, stitched in silver thread. Marcus Cole. "What is this?" Marcus's voice came out hoarse. "This is recognition." Viper stepped forward. "You're not a member, you're too young, and frankly, you haven't earned your patch yet." He paused. "But you've proven yourself in ways that matter. You saved my daughter. You stood with us against Razor. You watched two prospects die protecting you and didn't crumble. I didn't do anything. They died because of me. They died for family." Viper picked up the vest. "That's what this means, Marcus. You're family now. Not just because Elena loves you, not just because you took bullets for her, but because you've shown us who you are when it matters." Marcus looked at the vest, at Rosa's proud smile, at Elena's tearful eyes. "I don't know if I deserve this. Nobody deserves anything." Tank's rumble filled the room. "We earn it, every day, every choice. You started earning it the moment you threw yourself over that girl without knowing who she was." "Put it on." Rosa's voice was soft but commanding. "Let me see my grandson wearing his colors." Marcus took the vest. The leather was heavy in his hands. Real. Permanent. He slipped it on. It fit like it had been made for him. The room erupted in cheers. Brothers pounding tables. Elena crying openly now, her smile brighter than Marcus had ever seen. Rosa reaching up to touch the patch on his back, her fingers tracing the letters of his name. "My beautiful boy," she whispered. "Your mother would be so proud." Marcus knelt beside her wheelchair, took her fragile hands in his. "I'm scared, Abuela, of what this means, of who I'm becoming." "You're becoming yourself." Rosa's eyes held his. "The man you were always meant to be. Strong, brave, loyal." She squeezed his fingers. "The fear is good. It means you're taking this seriously." "What if I fail? What if I let them down?" "Then you get up and try again. That's all anyone can do." Rosa smiled. You have already survived things that would break most people. A few more challenges won't stop you. Marcus leaned forward, kissed her forehead. I love you, Abuela. I love you too, mijo. Now stand up and thank your family properly. He did, shook hands with every brother in the room, accepted their congratulations, their warnings, their advice, let himself be pulled into this strange, violent, fiercely loyal world that had chosen him. By the time the night ended, Marcus Cole felt like a different person. Not better, necessarily, not worse, just different. Changed by fire and blood into something new, something that belonged. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been invisible? Have you ever walked through life feeling like nobody saw you, nobody cared, nobody would notice if you just disappeared? Have you ever had that one moment, that one choice, where you could fade into the background or step into the light? Marcus Cole made his choice at Rosie's Diner on October 15th. 4 bullets, 47 seconds dead. A gang war that left 13 people dead and countless others wounded. Was it worth it? Ask Elena, who's alive because a stranger decided her life mattered more than his own. Ask Rosa, who's beating cancer because the Hell's Angels pay their debts. Ask the 3-year-old girl named Maya, who lost her father but knows he died protecting his family. Ask Marcus, who went from invisible to unforgettable in the time it takes to pull a trigger. The truth is, we all have these moments, these choices, these chances to matter. Most of us look away. It's safer, easier, less painful. But some of us, the brave ones, the broken ones, the ones who have nothing left to lose, we step forward. We take the bullet. We start the war. We become the story that people tell to remind themselves that heroes aren't born in boardrooms or mansions. They're born in shelters and foster homes and hospital beds. They're born when someone who has every reason to be invisible decides to be seen. Marcus Cole is finishing his senior year at Jefferson High now. He lives in an apartment paid for by the Hell's Angels. His grandmother is in remission. Elena is by his side. He wears a leather vest with his name stitched in silver. And when Brett Carson sees him in the hallway, Brett looks away. Because Marcus Cole isn't invisible anymore. He never will be again. Razor is buried in an unmarked grave on the outskirts of town. The Demon Riders scattered after his death, their club dissolved, their power broken. The Hell's Angels buried Piston with full honors. His daughter got a college fund that will see her through graduation and beyond. The 2 prospects who died protecting Marcus are memorialized on a wall in the clubhouse, their names in gold. Danny woke up from his coma 3 weeks ago. He doesn't remember the attack. Marcus visits him twice a week. Some wounds heal, others leave scars. All of them become part of your story. Drop your story in the comments. Have you ever saved someone? Been saved by someone? Made a choice that changed everything? Have you ever been invisible and found your way into the light? Share this story. Not the sanitized version. The real version. The one about the shelter kid who took 4 bullets for a stranger and started a war. The one about the motorcycle club that became his family. The one about choosing to matter, even when it costs you everything. Because here's what they don't tell you about being a hero. It's not about the cape or the crown or the glory. It's about the moment when you decide that someone else's life, someone you barely know, someone who could never repay you, is worth more than your own safety. That's the moment everything changes. That's the moment you stop being invisible. That's the moment you become unforgettable. Marcus Cole learned that lesson at 17. The question is, when will you? Subscribe to channel. Stay just, stay loud, stay free, and never, ever let them make you invisible again.